Hey guys, it's David. I'm mainly making this orientation video because I said I would in the news. I think you're pretty well oriented from the sales page, omgmachines.com /join-forces, where it lists what the topics that at least Cotton and Network Empire and Joe Marfolio and Travis will be covering. There's a few different timelines going on. With the content creation, a lot of the main training will look to get it up as soon as possible. Presuming that in the next 2 or 3 weeks we'll have the bulk of the main training up and inside. Then another timeline that's going on is the live appearances, which you probably know will go for about 4 months. And then sometimes people will come up with new ideas. I'm talking to Joe, and Joe's coming up with new amazing stuff that he can do in addition to what we already said he would do. He's so great, as is everyone here. And it's the same thing when I talk to Cotton and when I talk to the Network Empire guys. And so I kept things somewhat minimal on the sales letter, just so I didn't back them into a corner, or if we are almost certain we're going to do something, I didn't want to announce it on the sales page so that it was an absolute promise. But there's likely going to be noticeably more than even just the topics that we covered. Although, of course, what we covered in the sales letter is an unbelievable advantage for you guys. And then, in addition to any further training they might make in the near future over the next few months, then when they make updates, because this director's cut's going to be folded into our main no holds barred coaching, right? It's all going to be the same main big coaching package, just a little bit more, where it'll be 7,000 instead of 5,000. And that'll be the only thing people can get in the future when they want to join OMG coaching. So when any of the main contributors here in director's cut, when they make stuff in the future, then I'll put it into the director's cut members area as well. So you'll have that. It could be a year from now and they might make something and I'll put it in here. So that's all part of what you get for director's cut. It could be 2 years from now and I'll should be putting it in. I don't like to promise what's going to happen 5 or 10 years into the future. Probably I'll just still be putting it in here, but I like to be a little careful with what I say, absolutely. But that's generally my intention is just to indefinitely continue to put content from them as they make it into here. As you might have heard during the sales process, I didn't start by thinking that I wanted to make an upgrade product to our coaching and then look for what all to put in there. Instead, it happened backwards, where Cotton rose up and kind of hit me over the head with his existence, where he was just doing so well, getting so many clients so easily in so many different ways, and plus he started just helping so many OMGers. There was one instance where not only was he hopping on webinars and doing some training videos and interviews with Mike to help explain things, but then people would reach out to him, and in one case he said he would give someone some help, and he said, hey, or like get on, hop on like a little webinar with a guy and give him some help. And then the guy said, hey, I mentioned it to some other people, can they come on? Ended up having 24 people, and then he ended up taking them a bit under his wing, and they all ended up, getting their PBNs, their private blog network, which is something we teach in the main coaching, not in here. But just the point is that there are a lot of success stories started coming out of there. And so this was all just Cotton doing just generously, just without any kind of arrangement with us, just giving back, paying forward, and so forth. So I really wanted that to be formal and ongoing. I know how things could happen if I didn't, really make sure to reach out and keep them with us. Then, who knows, in a year or two, if I don't know, just if someone else out there just particularly were to believe in him, or he just goes off on his own and do great. But he wanted to really stay a part of us. He wanted that, and he wanted to stay right here, and I wanted him to. And so we just made it so it would definitely be the case. So he should, be with us for years to come, or for, forever. So that's one thing that happened. And then he was going to make a lot of stuff for us, which is what I'm talking about. It's, this is how Director's Cut came to be. And that was one thing. And then same thing where I wanted to we're getting to the point where I didn't want all of the search engine optimization for OMG to be on Greg's shoulders. The original idea of OMG, which worked terrifically, was that Greg was so successful and dedicated and had so many websites, did so much testing, was so good at SEO that he would just continually share what he knows, and that's still the case. But at this point, we have so many people successful and depending on us that I wanted to have more than just relying on Greg, because what if Google makes a change, and Greg would certainly then adjust and recover, have all his sites, do testing, and know what was going on. But what if he needed to spend 2 or 3 months doing that? I didn't want 1,000 people having to wait on that, and be worried or whatever. And so I just wanted to have more support for him. Since before OMG even started, I knew the Network Empire guys. I knew Russell and then Sue, and they're unbelievable, and they're really kind of future oriented and kind of corporate client consulting level type of thing, and they develop software, and they're really into their angle on things, and it's so helpful, and they've been so correct about Google, and they've been really evergreen with what they've done. And so we've had them involved with us the whole way through, even starting with the siloing and all that. But it just came about the same time that we could make a more formal arrangement with them, and where they were really differently a part of us. They were still totally themselves in their own brand and network empire, but where we were particularly teamed up in a certain way. And that came about the same time, and including certainly with Jimmy, that I really wanted Jimmy to be a part of us as well. And that all kind of happened about the same time as things happened with Cotton. And so between the two of them, then it really took on a life of its own, where it had to be its own separate product, basically, to have this upgrade. And then Joe really wanted to contribute even more than he had been doing. And Joe is just unbelievable. You'll get to see even more and more, as I have been, as we've been creating content with him, and he's been coming up with things. But Joe just has such a breadth and depth to his knowledge, and he's been doing this stuff for about at least 5 years with the client consulting and affiliate sites. He just loves being a part of OMG, though. We have this incredible home field advantage here, where the guys in Director's Cut, and Travis as well, where they just love OMG. They love being a part of OMG, and they feel differently being in here than they do if someone just kind of called them up and say, hey, let me give you some money to do some training for us, or something like that. It's just different when you feel like you're in your own community and your own folks. And so they're putting in way more than what it's about with just the money they might be getting and so forth. They just particularly care, and they're particularly taking things to a level that's not where they're trying to calibrate it to how much they're being paid. I'm not shortchanging them, of course, or doing anything in that way that would be kind of a win-lose for people or anything like that. But with people as successful as the contributors here in Director's Cut, you really can't pay them enough where it's ever worth it all by itself for them to train on what they do, right? Because they can just use what they do and make money with it directly. If Cotton's making over $200,000 a month, what are you going to do, right? In order to get him to train, he's really only going to give you the stuff if it's his folks and his community, which it is here. So that's what you're getting. There's basically the live appearances, there's so many of them. They're just going to appear weekly, which is tremendous. It's really hardly happened before or since that you have people of this caliber appearing weekly live. Plus they're giving a lot away in their training, and they're really honing in and making it detailed. And that's everything. The community with OMG, in terms of an actual Facebook or LinkedIn group, that's part of our full coaching. And so we're not going to have a separate group with Director's Cut, because that would kind of cut into, it would just weirdly be another kind of win-lose or kind of a losing situation all around to split things up in that way. As you guys know, and as many of you have taken advantage of, I did decide to open up Director's Cut to people that are not already part of our No Holds Barred coaching. And so if you can do things sort of backwards. If you want to do the full coaching, then you could just make up the difference. You can just email Mike, omg@omgmachines.com, and if and when you want to hop into our full main coaching for next year, and he'll give you a link to do that, where you'll pay the same price as if you just purchased it by itself, where you'll pay another $5,000 and finish that off and get in there. I'm not making this orientation video to sell you on another thing. I just also didn't want you confused when our new coaching comes out and to not know what's going on with that. So if you're not part of that, then you can become part of it without paying more than you would have if you just bought it for the $7,000 by itself. I know that the live appearances will go great, and there's no doubt that this whole Director's Cut project is going to go terrifically well. But during the live webinars and so forth, then your enthusiasm and your attitude will only make things better. And I already know the attitude of people in OMG, and it's terrific. So there's no danger here. But just know that, just like with a comedian or any kind of, even a play, apparently giving a play is very different. Even if it's just the same play night after night in a theater, somehow the audience on particular nights makes a significant difference to how the play comes off. And so you are going to make a difference, particularly collectively, but certainly individually. If you're negative, you'll make a difference. And if you're particularly positive and curious and helpful, you'll make a difference. And the product, the project will be even better with your positive contribution during the live times. Sometimes just by being there and learning, other times by having good questions, other times just by thanking them at the end of it and just having positive feedback and so forth to encourage them. Joe's even given an email address where he'll be answering questions, and he says he'll answer, he'll generally get to any question either on the live hours or just by email. The one thing I mentioned, the idea of kind of clinic type of questions, where if you just kind of give them a bit of an open-ended question about a website that you're doing or analyzing or a niche that you're thinking of doing, then I don't want to make him promise that he's going to be able to answer all those questions fully, analyze every site that comes to him or something like that. Although I think those kind of questions will be cool sometimes, and maybe everyone could benefit sometimes from him or someone else analyzing a situation or doing a sort of what I call a clinic, on a kind of an open-ended question like that. When I, David Mills, make training, which will be like law of implication type of training, then I will be putting it in here in addition to putting it into our main coaching. I'll just put it in both areas. And as I record this, I'm about to make training on a set of videos on a topic. I don't know how many videos when I say that. I think it'll be more than one though. And it'll be pretty hard-hitting, I think, so you can look forward to that as well. We know when the office hours are basically going to be, right? Network Empire will be on Tuesday. Cotton will be on Wednesdays. Joe will be on Thursdays. And they're going to alternate because sometimes people are in different time zones or people have different schedules. Some people work during the day. Some people have an easier time at night. And so one week they'll be at 2 p.m. The next week they'll be at 8 p.m. And they'll just alternate between those two times. So it's pretty predictable. And they'll be using GoToWebinar. They'll just be like, if you're seeing Greg's office hours, it'll be somewhat fairly similar to that. Although I'm sure each person has their own personality and their own little twist to it, and it'll also be dependent on your involvement and so forth. All right, well, I just thank everyone for believing in us to join, and this should really be a terrific program. And we're all greedy for your success, so I look forward to hearing of your success in the months and years to come. And we'll be doing everything we can on our end to give you the advantage for that to happen, make 2015 a terrific year for you. Thanks, guys.